Welcome to our updated Procell training video. It's good to have you with us. We're going to show you Procell Therapies microchanneling, and you have your Procell device, right? And your Procell battery with the handy dandy USB-C connector, right? And when you first take your device out of the package, the first thing you want to do is install the male to female adapter and plug in your battery and charge your battery. They generally come with enough of a charge to do a treatment, but I recommend you charge each of your two batteries overnight the first time. After that, they'll charge up in 10 or 15 minutes. You plug it into the wall, you plug your battery in and charge them up, okay? So you want to do that before you have your time for training or before you have your first client, because then you'll be ready. So the battery simply plugs into the back of the device, and there's a knob at the base of the pistol grip, and you click it. One click is slow, two clicks is fast. So we always use the fast speed, always use fast for microchanneling. The motor is designed to turn on in 2 stages just to preserve the life of the motor, because the device has a lifetime warranty, so they don't want it to break. You can also run it off the cord. If you come in, your batteries are dead, you just plug it into the wall. The cord plugs right into the same back of the machine where the battery plugs in, if you need that. I personally like to go hands-free myself. So I've got my device here. I've got my gloves, got some alcohol prep pads. Our client was nice enough to come in without makeup. If she had makeup, we do a standard double cleanse, but she's nice and clean. And then we have our single-use, sterile, disposable Procell microchanneling tip. And if you look at the packaging, you'll see that at least one edge is bumpy. It's this edge in this case. And then if you just pinch the tip up toward the bumpy edge, it comes right out. And then it's got a cap on it, so it's still sterile. We'll set that in our clean area, and then we're gonna glove up and get ready to treat. I think now I've shown you all the accessories. Did I show the microchannel delivery serum? The microchannel delivery serum, which I'll talk more about that. That's the serum we'll use during the treatment. So you want to glove up. And we're going to use our alcohol swab. You can also use Hibiclens. You can use witch hazel. You can use a toner if you like. I like alcohol because it kills all the germs, and it removes any dirt or anything else that's on the surface of the skin. So you just want to wipe with alcohol just to remove any impurities from the surface of the skin. A quick disinfecting pass. Give her a little air because it's a little stinky. Deep breath all the way in, all the way out, and relax. Now one more deep breath all the way in, hold it at the end, and don't breathe, don't breathe, don't breathe, and now you can breathe. If you're going to treat around the eyes, just a quick disinfecting pass, because you can go all the way to the lash with Procell microchanneling. We're going to wrap our device, and there are a number of different wraps and sleeves and all kinds of stuff out there. At our clinic, we like this because this is already FDA approved food grade, meaning you can eat off it, meaning it is clean. And it is the stretchiest, it is the clingiest, it's the best for everything. We've used it in our clinic for at least 10 years for everything we do where we like to keep things clean. Just pull it out a little longer than it is wide, lay your device in catty corner, fold it up from the bottom, down from the top, over from the back, over from the front, and once there's no seams sticking out, you just kind of bunge it all together. And your device is wrapped nice and tight and sanitary, and you're ready to go. And then you just take your tip. I like to lay the tip in the palm of my gloved hand, take my device, put the socket over the ball, push until it pops. And then I like to show my client, and I'll show you, the tiny little wire microfilaments. They're so short they can't actually hurt you. It's not a needle, it's a wire filament similar to what you'd find in an electrolysis device. and it's designed for an epidermal stimulative treatment. We are targeting stem cells in the basal layer of the epidermis in order to simulate an injury so that we can induce the wound healing signal to produce collagen. But we want to do it without a wound. It's all a trick that we play on the skin. And if you lay your device down, just lay it down so that the tip is sticking out into empty space so it doesn't touch and cross-contaminate with anything. I'm going to get my microchannel delivery serum ready. And we're going to start to treat. I'll just turn my client's head. I like to turn whatever area I'm working on toward the ceiling. And I generally start on the left side because I'm left-handed. You might start on the right side if you're right-handed. You can start wherever you like, stop wherever you like. I like to start right at the corner of the mouth because it's relatively insensitive. And I work a row kind of back toward the earlobe. Really gentle at first. Little overlap. And then I ask, how's that feel? Is that hurting? Is that hurting?
It's okay.
It's okay, she says. So now I'm going to get a little faster. I'm going to get a little firmer. And I'm going to just start running my microchanneling rows from left to right to left, left to right to left. Always stamping, don't waste any space, overlapping each stamp. And then I'm going to go up and down, north to south, south to north, north to south, south to north, north to south. Always in a serpentine crosshatch pattern, overlapping each stamp. And I'll typically do 3 or 4 serpentine rows in each direction, crosshatch. One more here, and you can already see she's getting nice and red. That's what we're looking for. A nice erythematous inflammatory response. Once we see she's nice and red, we've induced that initial inflammatory response. We've tricked the skin into perceiving a wound. Now we're going to trick the skin into perceiving that it's a great big bad wound, even though there's no wound at all. We're going to topically deliver via the microchannel a sophisticated cytokine array. It's the specific combination of growth factors, peptides, exosomes, interleukins, all of the cytokines, all of the signaling proteins involved in wound healing in human skin. The same growth factors my client's skin is upregulating now are in the bottle. The same combination. So we're amplifying her response so that we get better results without having to do more damage. In the past, we would use a deeper needle, we would use a more powerful laser, we would use a stronger chemical peel to injure the skin more to get better results. Now, stem cell science enables us to amplify our client's response without the need for additional tissue trauma, which means less downtime, less pain, less side effects. You can use it on more skin types and more skin conditions. You can use it all year round. So now we'll move on to our next zone, which is going to be from the temple up over the forehead. So on the forehead, you're going to lighten your touch up because you're right on the bone, so you don't have to be as heavy-handed. Light-handed over the forehead, a little heavier over the glabella where there's muscle, a little lighter out here, a little heavier over the temple. And this is where you'll learn how to feel for that depth of penetration. How deep are you going? You're trying to hit right to the dermal epidermal junction, stimulate those stem cells in the stratum basal. And there's just a certain feel to being at the right depth. And if you do 2 or 3 faces, you'll get it. You'll get the feel. And you'll know where to go heavy-handed, like right here in the temple, where to lighten up your touch, and maybe give them a little time in between taps out here, and then a little heavier over the glabella where you've got a little bit of muscle there. And there we go. We see a nice erythema, a nice global redness throughout our treatment zone. Now we're going to roll that zone. And then we're going to roll the previous zone because those microchannels are still open. Okay, and now we're going to go to our third zone, which for me is half the forehead and probably down the chops here as I look at the size of this face. And again, I'm going to use the free hand to stretch the skin. I'm going to run north to south first. Heavier on the temple, lighter on the forehead. Lighter, 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 then heavier on the temple, a little heavier on the fleshy area of the skin. Now I'm going to go left to right. Crosshatch, always running that crosshatch pattern. Lighter up over the forehead into the hairline. Light up here, a little heavier when you get down into the glabella, and that's something you'll learn how to feel. And then I'm going to cross it again. So it's not brain surgery. You're basically just running a crosshatch serpentine stamp, overlap each stamp, never drag, never scratch, never tear the skin, and you just keep doing that over and over until you produce a nice global redness, a nice global erythema throughout the treatment zone. Depending on the laxity of the skin, you may have to pull a lot to get it tight. The tighter you pull the skin, the less it hurts, the faster you'll get to your end point. So do use that free hand to pull that tissue tight. Don't be afraid to switch hands, get a different angle on it. Don't be afraid to, if you feel like you're contorting, turn your client's head, because she's just laying here having a great time. I mean, relatively. You're doing all the work. So don't be afraid to make her move. One more. Overlapping each little stamp. You tighten up your stamp over the forehead because you're going around a curve. You're going to loosen it up a little bit out here. You don't have to go as tight with the stamp because out here the full face is engaged. Up here, only the middle is engaged. So you tighten up here. Down here, it's a little more loose. But just keep going till you get that nice global erythema. Then we're going to apply our microchannel delivery serum. And what we do is we roll the zone we just treated. Roll that zone. And then roll the previous zone because those microchannels are still open. So always roll your zone, roll your previous zone. And now we'll proceed with the right cheek. With my free hand, I'm going to tighten the skin. Since it's dry over here, I'm going to pull this way. Switching hands again. So it's a little lighter over the apple of the cheek, a little heavier over the flesh of the cheek. And so I selected a 0.5 because my model here has had many, many treatments. We do every treatment, every client, their first treatment is at 0.25. We typically graduate to 0.5 within 1 or 2 treatments, and then unless there's scarring, unless there's really deep wrinkles, we rarely go beyond 0.5 because the skin is just not thick enough, and since we're targeting the stratum basal, we just don't really need to get much deeper than that. Nice and glowing, red, pink, very nice. Nice erythema. Now we're going to roll this zone where we've got our fresh microchannels. The cytokine array is delivered via microchannel to amplify the same cytokines that her body is producing in response to this treatment. Now we're going to go up and we're going to roll that previous zone as well because those microchannels are still wide open. And now we'll go. I kind of make the chin its own zone. So there's no hard and fast rule on what's a zone and what's not a zone and what direction you go. You can start wherever you want. A lot of you may already have patterns that you use for microdermabrasion or other services that you kind of have a pattern that you follow. Follow that pattern for microchanneling. Whatever is intuitive for you and ensures that you'll do a nice thorough job and you won't skip any spots. What's really nice about microchanneling is if you do skip any spots, the skin will tell you if you skipped any spots, because at the end that spot is not going to be as red as you would like, and you can always go back and you can infill and you can treat areas where you think maybe they could use a little bit more. You can't really overdo it. You can treat until the cows come home, and the recovery profile for your client is about the same no matter what. They're going to be red and splotchy for anywhere from 4 to 24 hours. They're going to be a little bit sensitive, but no lingering pain or anything like that. But within that 4 to 24 hours, everything calms down and just looks beautiful. No matter how long you go. All right, so now we're going to do over the nose. So the nose, you can open up the alar groove. You can use I'm using the left face, the right face. Underneath, I'll use the heel. Up against, I'll use the toe. So you see how you can use the edges of your tip to get anywhere you need to be. I'm even getting right down in the groove, and then I'm going to come right over the nose, a little heavy over the tip of the nose, a little lighter as I go up the bridge of the nose, a little heavier as I work the glabella. Always work the glabella heavy. Everybody's worried about the glabella. Nobody likes their wrinkles there. So you can treat there for as long as you like. A little heavier there. I'm light over the nasal bone. I'm heavy over the tip of the nose. And then again, I can open up that alar groove, left face, right face, the heel, the toe. I can get everywhere I need to be. Get it nice and pink, nice and red. I'm going to roll that zone. And then I'm going to roll my previous zone where my microchannels are still wide open. Keep an eye on my product. Okay, I'm doing good. Got about a little more than half left. And so now I like to finish on the mouth when I do my tight work around the mouth. So I'm going to work the neck and the eyes, and then I'll finish on the mouth, okay? And for the neck, I basically define my first zone is the Adam's apple. It's an egg-shaped zone right in the middle. I'm going to turn on my power. I'm going to pull that skin to one side, and I'm going to work it gently. I'm going to do more passes and tap a little bit more lightly because I'm right up against the bone. More passes with a light touch right up against the bone here. So you might have to spend a little bit more time right over the voice box, but it's worth it. Now I'm going to pull the skin to the other side, and I'm going to work with a light touch. Same crosshatch pattern, but just a little lighter so I'm not banging right on that bone. If they start to cough or gag, you need to lighten up your touch. Nice and light, pull it over to the side. So there's my first zone for the neck, and now I'm just going to roll that zone. And then I'll just generally divide the neck into, depending on the size, I may divide it into 4 quadrants in the submental, or maybe just 2 strips. Kind of depends on the size and the shape. We'll just kind of determine what I do. But with the free hand, I'm going to pull tight. So you always roll that zone, right? And then you roll the previous zone. I almost forgot. Always roll that previous zone each time. All right, now we'll get back to the neck here. So we're going to divide the neck. So you may pull from down here. Depending on the laxity, you may have to divide the neck into 4 to 5 zones. Kind of depends. If they're nice and firm, you can treat larger areas. If they're a little more lax, you'll generally have to work smaller areas that you can kind of stretch in between 2 fingers. But the tighter you stretch the skin, the less it hurts and the faster you'll get to your end point. I'm able to make it on this neck right up into the submental very comfortably. I like that. So I'll just generally treat as big a zone as I can get away with. And that usually just depends on the laxity of the skin and the shape and the size of the area that I'm treating. And it really helps to have their neck over a roll so that they're looking up. You see how she's kind of looking up, gives me good exposure for the neck. So I just use a towel that I can shape. You can buy a little neck roll if you'd like, so that they're, when you want to, you can slide it down under their neck and get them looking up. That's helpful. And so as you can see, it's not exactly brain surgery. We're just stamping in a crosshatch serpentine pattern. We're overlapping each stamp. We're never dragging, we're never scratching, we're never tearing the skin. And we're treating into a nice global erythema. And then we roll that zone. And then roll our previous zone, as we always do. And now we'll finish the neck here on the right side. Always take a look at my product. Yeah, a little under half now, doing good. Okay. So now with my free hand I can pull here. I like to treat to an area just behind the earlobe when I'm doing the neck. Until we get that skin response we're looking for. And then we use our microchannel delivery serum. The microchannel delivery serum we're using was derived from the human mesenchymal stem cells from bone marrow, secured during an FDA supervised clinical trial at which University of California sought to establish the very first human mesenchymal stem cell line. It's a tissue line that was established in a clinical trial. It still lives in a lab today. It is petri dishes full of human mesenchymal stem cells, adult stem cells. You can take a little piece out, you can put it in your lab, and if you keep it in the right environment, it will grow and live, it's alive. We take human skin, we desiccate the skin to simulate an injury and get an inflammatory response. We put the skin in the culture, in contact with the culture, so that the stem cell culture expresses all the cytokines associated with rescuing human skin. And those are the fibroblast inducing biosignals that make microchanneling so amazing. So what's in here is already in here. This is just from a younger cell source. It's a much higher concentration. It's much higher quality growth factors and peptides and exosomes and all the wonderful things that you hear about. And so that's what the microchannel delivery serum is. And folks, what we can deliver here is only going to get better. This is great, but as science progresses, what we can deliver via microchannel will get even more sophisticated and more targeted. So this is an exciting modality to have, because microchannel delivery of cytokine topicals, growth factor topicals, is going to be around for long enough for you to have a career and a retirement and to put your kids through college. So get this modality, because it really is a modality of the present and a modality of the future. Okay, now we're going to do the eyes. So to do the eyes, you just want to stretch, and then instead of a quick tap, we just kind of go in with a light touch. Because it's super thin skin here, you don't really need to beat this skin up much to induce an inflammatory response and to get some collagen induction. Just a light touch. I kind of walk it from the outside in, and as soon as I feel the tissue, I back off. Walk it from the inside out. Notice the face of my tip is overhanging the lash. If they got those big lashes, you'll have to figure that out. So that's the top lid. Now we're going to go to the bottom lid. And again, it's just, and if they open their eyes and look up, open it up, give you some room. You can go with the heel of the tip, you can literally go right to the lash line with a nice, light, little touch. Very good. And yeah, it feels a little weird, but it doesn't really hurt. So, right eye, again, walk it from the outside in. As soon as I touch the skin, I back off. Walk it from the inside out. There's no other modality in aesthetics where without any preparation and no concern for injury, we don't have to use any numbing eye drops, we don't have to use any metal eye shields like we used to have to use these horrible metal eye shields back when we did laser for the eyelid. And now we can use these delicate wire filaments to stimulate collagen induction without any prep and without any worry about injury or side effects. And again, we just walk it right to the edge. A nice light touch, and as soon as you feel skin, you just back off. Outside in, inside out, right to the lash, and we're done. If they've got the crow's feet, I like to finish. I'll just microchannel the little tears that are always produced. I'll microchannel those little tears right in there because we don't want any tears. They'll almost always tear up. And the tears are good for you. But I'll work those crow's feet. If they don't have crow's feet, work this area. It's preventative, okay? And so, now we've got our eyes are finished. So, a quick application of the roll-on microchannel delivery serum to amplify biologic response. And then we always go and we re-roll the previous zone. Roll your zone, re-roll your previous zone. Do that every time. And now we're going to finish around the mouth. And I'll explain to you why I finish around the mouth. I like to look at my product, see how much I got left is. Okay, so I can probably have enough product that I can do one more full application over the entire area, because I'm not going to need a whole lot around the mouth. And this is something you'll have to judge, and you'll kind of get to know how far you can go and how much product you have. I will give you a little hint. If you ever run out of product in the middle of a treatment, it happens, or toward the end, you can pop the little roller ball off and just a couple of drops of clean water. We used a deionized water, or you can use a sterile saline. A couple of drops is all it takes. And you can finish with a slightly dilute solution, but there's plenty of cytokines, plenty of HA in here, so a little dilute to finish is perfectly acceptable in the rare case that you need to finish and you've run out. Okay, around the lips now to finish. Have your tip overhang the vermilion border. You want to get the microfilaments into those natural little fractures that time wants to turn into those smoker's lines, those vertical lines. This is preventative for this client. If she had those smoker's lines, I'd just be opening them up and I'd be working those vertical lines. You can do it in half. And look, if their lips are the right shape, you can hit the upper and lower vermilion with one pass. And because we're at a relatively shallow depth, we're usually at 0.25 to 0.5 millimeters, you just don't have to worry about doing any significant harm. So I'm hitting that upper and lower vermilion. And now I'm going to hit the upper lip and kind of focus there. Circle back around, down the lower vermilion. There you go, and you'll start to see a little swelling right around the vermilion border. That's what you want to see. That's your end point. A little bit of red, of course, on the skin, but the vermilion border will look particularly inflamed, which is exactly what we're going for. All around the mouth, and then real quick, the final, I want you to open your mouth wide, and then I pinch it, and then I go right into that little natural fracture that time wants to turn into a marionette line. And this is the last area I work because I'm literally going right in, almost onto the mucosa. I'm pulling it nice and tight. You can see the little fracture, and we're just going to work that corner. Work it from in, out, in, out. That's our last little area that we work. And if you've done a good job and you saved just enough product, you just give it a little tap, and then we're just going to finish with a little quick open wide, open wide. We're just going to go here, and then we're going to go here, and then we're done. Perfect. So after you roll the mouth and inside the mouth, don't re-roll your previous zone. Your product should be gone by then. But the last thing you want to roll is that area right inside the mouth, and then, which is why you saw how I kind of wanted to make sure I used as much as I could there before the end. And then the last thing we're going to do is our Procell hydrating mask. And while we're doing that, we're going to give our client a little bit of home care instructions. I like to let them know that they're going to be red and splotchy for anywhere from about 4 to 24 hours. They might feel a little sensitive, but they shouldn't feel any lingering pain or any discomfort or anything like that. But all that redness and splotchiness, it'll all settle down within that 4 to 24 hours, and then they'll just look fabulous. I do let them know that we've induced an inflammatory event, and we've poked a bunch of microchannels in their skin, and so their skin's going to tend to lose water. It's called transepidermal water loss. They will experience it to one degree or another. And so I tell everyone before they get up, I want you to think about moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. And then I always ask, do you have a good quality moisturizer that your skin already likes? Do you, young lady? Have a nice moisturizer that your skin already likes? Mm-hmm. Good. What's it called? I'm putting her on the spot. Anyway, if they don't have a moisturizer that their skin already likes, this is your opportunity to sell them one because they will need one. A supplemental moisturizer is essential to getting the best results. During that inflammatory phase of wound healing for about a week, their skin's going to tend to push water out. And so they have to compensate for that with a good quality moisturizer. I recommend something with hyaluronic acid and ceramides. So once we get the mask applied, now we've got the full attention, and we're going to just be giving some advice. So we're going to recommend the Procell number 1 and number 2, which is the cellular renewal serum and the healing accelerator, which have the same cytokine array that we use during the treatment to amplify their response to the treatment. It's a good serum and cream combination. It replaces everything on a woman's shelf except her cleanser and sunscreen. It literally replaces half a dozen products, so I do recommend these. But the extra moisturization that's necessary to compensate for transepidermal water loss and to do barrier repair typically requires a supplemental moisturizer for just about every client. And our favorite is Dr. Nassif's Hydro Screen. Ceramides, lipids, exotic botanicals. It feels wonderful, it smells wonderful, and it's the best barrier repair that we've ever encountered. We use it after everything: dermaplane, microderm, microchanneling, all kinds of services. Anytime we violate the barrier in order to induce skin rejuvenation, which we do a lot, we'll typically send them home with a bottle of Hydro Screen. We'll send them home with Procell's number 1 and number 2. And then we also suggest that they use the Blossom Wand. The Blossom Wand is just a similar array of little microfilaments. Every night before bed, you stamp your skin gently. Takes about a minute. I do my neck especially a lot because it's getting really, really saggy. And then you put your product on. You can put on your Hydro Screen, you can put on your cellular renewal serum and your healing accelerator. Any topical, you just create some little microchannels just through the stratum corneum, just beyond the lipid barrier. Then you put your product on, and then the lipid barrier and the stratum corneum reorganize. Now, instead of keeping that product out, you've basically now created a way that your skin's barrier can keep that product in. So longer absorption, longer bioavailability, and better results. And so finally we just get them all ready to go home. There's other things we like to tell them. We've got everything in the post-care sheet. We've got all the documents, all the clinical documents. And when you do your training, we'll get more detailed into that. We really just wanted to show you the technique today and give you a basic introduction so that if you already have experience, maybe you watch this video, you grab your mom, you give her a treatment, and you feel comfortable moving forward. Call your rep, call me if I'm your rep. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to answer any questions. Send us an email, send us a text, call the 800 number. We're happy to help you with Procell microchanneling today, tomorrow, and on into the future, because microchannel delivery of cytokine-based topicals is it's today and it's the future. Procell microchanneling. We're Mountain Coast distributors. Thank you very much.